I'd like to gavel in our regularly scheduled meeting for April 16th, 2012. If you'd all please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Clements.
For the last time, here.
Alderman Marshall.
Here.
Alderman Leahy.
Here.
Alderwoman Crusoe.
Absent.
Alderman Kramer.
Present.
Alderman Robertson.
Here.
Alderman Nguyen.
Here.
Alderman Harper.
Here.
Mayor Kelly.
Present. Next item, approval of the agenda for the April 16th, 2012 agenda.
Motion, if I may, Your Honor.
Alderman Leahy.
I'd like to request that the board consider moving Bill 5666 to item number 13 and put it
How about
between 13
11?
and 14.
How about 11? Do you want to do it after? Yeah, that's fine.
I would put it between 13 and 14 because I believe we will go into executive session for this one, and that may take us a while.
Okay.
And so if we could take it out of order, please.
In a second.
I'll second, Your Honor. Oh, sorry.
Motion is made by Alderman Leahy, second by Alderman Clemens to amend the agenda and move bill number 5666 to item, it'd be 13A. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the, well,
Approve the motion first.
okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item, approving of the agenda.
No, approve the motion now as amended, Your Honor.
No, the agenda as amended.
Agended as oh boy, approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second? Second. Motion is made by Alderman Leahy, second by Alderman Nguyen to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Okay.
Next item, consideration approval of the minutes from the March 14th, 2012 meeting. It was placed on hold. And
Your
I think
Honor,
we're going to, okay.
If I may, I would like to request that the board continue to place the minutes for March 14th on hold while we fix a couple more issues on it before we bring it to the board for final approval.
And second?
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Just so you know, there's a motion in there without a second. Who actually said the second? And also, there wasn't a full vote, the names of everybody, so we just want to make that correction. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from April 2nd, 2012.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes.
On page 6 of this minutes, under the compensation for the Parks and Recreation Management Team, the vote reflects that I voted in the affirmative. I did vote in the negative. May we change that, please?
Any other changes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Alderman Kramer?
Various sections, Your Honor. While I appreciate the opportunity and the idea here, there are numerous references to Attorney Kramer versus Alderman Kramer. While I did study law, I never did pass the bar, so if we could have those changed.
Was that
you
the
really
law?
want to be called an attorney? I don't know if that's.
Was that the law of traffic?
Yeah, exactly. Water feature law. Yeah,
Okay. Any other changes?
that's all I have.
A motion?
Motion, Your Honor, then to approve the minutes for the April 2nd meeting as amended.
Thank you. And second?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Tongue-tied, didn't I?
Motion is made by Alderman Leahy, second by Alderwoman Clemens. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item, item 5, certification of election results from the April election. Please.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have received the certified results from St. Louis County Board of Election for Alderperson Brentwood, Ward 1. Maureen Saunders votes 366. Jim Bischoff votes 186. Invalid write-in votes 2. For Alderperson Brentwood, Ward 2, Cindy Manister votes 97. Invalid write-in votes 1. For Alderperson Brentwood, Ward 3, Andrew G. Leahy, votes 132. Invalid write-in, votes 10. For Alderperson Brentwood, Ward 4, Lorraine Cruson, votes 56. Gary S. Bierman, votes 42. Patrick Duhey, votes 69. Invalid write-in, votes 0.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the certified results.
Second, Your Honor.
Motion is made by Alderman Nguyen, second by Alderman Marshall. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Now, at this time, before we have the swearing in of our new officers, I'd like to make a couple presentations to our existing aldermen, or former aldermen. Well, actually, I was going to ask all of you to come up, and we have a plaque for each one of the aldermen this evening, with their, and it states, "With appreciation and pride, the city of Brentwood gives recognition to Barbara Clemens," and actually, this is her existing 6-year career with the city of Brentwood as alderwoman in Ward 1. Barb, you had a total of how many years as an alderman? 19. So, Barb, and then Mike Marshall, again, for Mike's 11 years of service with the city of Brentwood. I'd like to Sue, if Sue Cruson would like to come up, and her sister Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Nice to meet you. As some of you know, Lorraine has been ill and she couldn't be here tonight. But we do greatly appreciate her service to the city of Brentwood, not only as an alderman, but as a former city clerk for the city for 30 years. 30 years, exactly. So we hope you will give this to your mom, and our best wishes that she gets well soon. So we appreciate it. And now for the swearing-in ceremony, we will have our city administrator, Bola, will swear in our new officers. Bola, you want to turn that microphone the other way, and maybe, yeah, it might be easier. Okay.
I, Maureen Saunders,
I, Maureen Saunders,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Missouri
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Missouri
and the ordinances of the city of Brentwood,
and the ordinances of the city of Brentwood.
that I will faithfully demean myself
I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of Alderman, Ward 1,
in the office of Alderman, Ward 1,
for which I was elected
for which I was elected
on the 3rd day of April 2012.
on the 3rd day of April 2012.
Congratulations. Ms. Manister? I, Cindy Manister,
I, Cindy Manister,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Missouri
and the Constitution and the laws of the State of Missouri
and the ordinances of the City of Brentwood,
and the ordinances of the City of Brentwood,
that I would faithfully demean myself
that I would faithfully demean myself
in the office of Alderman Ward 2,
in the office of Alderman Ward 2,
for which I was elected
for which I was elected
on the 3rd day of April 2012.
on the 3rd day of April 2012.
Congratulations. I, Andrew Leahy,
I, Andrew Leahy,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and the constitutions and law of the State of Missouri
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Missouri
and the ordinances of the City of Brentwood,
and the ordinances of the City of Brentwood,
that I will faithfully demean myself
that I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of Alderman Ward 3,
in the office of Alderman, Ward 3,
for which I was elected
for which I was elected
on the 3rd day of April 2012.
on the 3rd day of April 2012.
Congratulations.
Yes.
I, Patrick Toohey,
I, Patrick Toohey,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and the constitutions and law of the State of Missouri
the constitutions and laws of the State of Missouri
and the ordinances of the City of Brentwood,
and the ordinances of the City of Brentwood,
that I would faithfully demean myself
that I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of Alderman Ward 4,
in the office of Alderman Ward,
4
office of Ward 4 Alderman,
for which I was elected
for which I was elected
on the 3rd day of April 2012.
on the 3rd of April 2012.
Congratulations.
Actually, at this time, I would like, if I could entertain a motion. First of all, welcome to all of our new members and to Alderman Leahy for their election. And if I'll entertain a motion that we take about a 7-minute break and people can congratulate, and we have some little bit of refreshments real quickly. So, motion, please.
So moved, Your Honor.
Motion was made by Alderman Leahy, second by Alderman Nguyen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We'll take a 5-minute break. So, thank you.
I thought the honeymoon lasted more.
So we are not doing 56, 66.
No, we are doing it. We're going to do.
Executive session.
Yeah, but we're going to have to come back out here to vote on it.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, we're going to do it.
Okay.
Go sit down. Please escort you out of here.
We got a lighter audience all of a sudden.
Again, I'd like to thank everybody and congratulate our new board members. I'd like to gavel back in our meeting.
Sorry about that.
The refreshments were actually back in the conference room if anybody would still like some. I thought they were in the hallway. So next item on the agenda is bids, and there are none this evening. I'm sorry. We'll wait for Bola to get back. I'm sorry.
She's getting her cookie.
Gavel back in.
I can eat my cookie real quick.
Just don't shoot.
I'll ask you a question once you put it in your mouth. Okay, I'm sorry. Next item on the agenda is bids, and there are none this evening.
Okay.
So next item is item 7, hearing of any matter of public interest upon request of any person present. If anybody would like to address the board, please come forward and give us your name and address.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and all the newly elected officials and regular officials. My name is Patrick Cantwell. Address right?
Yes, please.
32 York Drive. I'm here to speak publicly and use that as the initial discussion with respect to discussions that have been taking place in the past within the city, specifically as it arose from the February 8th, 2012 Public Works Committee meeting, of which there was a significant amount of discussion addressed on the item of removing a stop sign located on McKnight at the York entrance. There apparently, as I mentioned before, a significant amount of discussion that was brought forth. Let the record note that the majority of the discussion was being brought forth by a resident of Ladue. And as such, my summary comments, which will be followed up with a written letter representing, and by the way, let me digress for 1 second. I am the president of the York Village Association.
Thank you.
My summary comments will be followed up by written comments. If you allow me to digress for a moment, just by way of background, I would like to bring to attention at this public meeting the fact of the matter is that there was a significant amount of discussion between MoDOT and the city of Brentwood when I-64 went for its major redesign. Within that time period, MoDOT had incorporated a number of professional engineers to take a look at the McKnight interchange and furthermore to the Brentwood Avenue and I-64 interchange. The McKnight interchange, they commissioned HNTB to commission the traffic flow, and in correlation with the traffic flow on McKnight, they also looked into the Brentwood I-64 interchange. Under that, we have, and we will submit to you further, we have the emails from the HNTB engineers who state that the stop sign located at the McKnight York entrance, in fact, does serve the purpose for public safety, and more importantly, with it being there, it will allow for the main purpose of the Brentwood I-64 interchange. And if you can recall, that interchange was created in order so that it would direct all commuter traffic off of McKnight to the Brentwood Boulevard. And all of the interchanges that were created at the Brentwood and I-64 intersection was created in such for the increased traffic flow, and that the commuter traffic was to be diverted off of McKnight and sent to Brentwood. There was a significant amount of discussion in the February meeting of the Board of Public Works of eliminating the traffic sign. And I would also bring reference to the fact that in addition to the HNTB commissioned a report that on January 16th of 2001, the city of Brentwood approved, entered into and approved Resolution 857 commending HNTV and MoDOT for the work that they are going to engage on to the McKnight interchange, and within that resolution commissioning the interchange to be built with the stop sign in place. So I would like to bring forth to you that we are in absolute opposition to the idea and to the discussion of the removal of the stop sign, which is located on the Brentwood side of McKnight at the York intersection, on the north end of the York intersection. I'd also like to bring to your attention the following, that if you look at McKnight as it's configured from Litzinger all the way to that stop sign, located on the Brentwood side of McKnight is a pedestrian path, a sidewalk. And at that stop sign, MoDOT, plus or minus, configured the bridge to have its pedestrian thoroughfare located on the west side of McKnight. Therefore, the stop sign also serves as a major intersection for pedestrian traffic to cross McKnight if, in fact, you are going to come from the south side and move over into the north side of I-64, and conversely, if you're coming south on I-64 on pedestrian traffic, your only way to cross McKnight is at that stop sign. So I would ask that you consider the ramifications on the public safety of pedestrians if, in fact, you even thought about removing that stop sign, and possibly come to everyone and explain how are we going to get foot traffic across McKnight. So as I stated earlier, I just want to give some summary comments on that. We will be following up with a actual formal letter to you with the documents as I referenced before. Okay?
Thank you.
Any questions? Or do I ask questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Matt Saunders, 2326 Park Ridge Avenue. I've come here to ask for the city's help in identifying some of the hate mail or letters that were sent around in Ward 1 during the election. And I'm asking that because it's a person that's under contract with the city, Glenn Jamberetz, who is our PR person, was the only one that requested the addresses. And given that he requested the addresses, certainly he had to be the one that passed those addresses over to whoever sent out those letters. So I am requesting that the city maybe call Glenn up and ask him who he passed the addresses on to. Then my question is, why was a specific campaign given Glenn Jamberetz as an asset to use in his campaign? Why did the city send Glenn Jamberetz to Jim Bischoff's campaign to help him in his campaign? I guess the question is that a common practice? Were all campaigns allowed to do that? And then if not all campaigns, how does the city go about choosing who we lend one of our contract people over to help in campaigns? Thanks.
Mayor, I'd like to follow up on that. I'm Barry Williams, 9001 Pine Avenue. And in your somewhat legendary robocall of March the 10th, you used the term administrative issues in reference to the various problems the city's gone through in the last year, financial problems. And I hope you would agree that we, after what we've been through over the last year in Brentwood, we need to be concerned not just about actual improprieties and illegalities, but the perception of same. And therefore, I really think this region has a lot of public relations firms. If you look in the phone directory, there are many to choose from. I think we really need to terminate the contract with Mr. Jamberetz at this point. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know that he's guilty of anything or not, but we can't really afford that, can we, at this point? We don't even need the perception of impropriety. Let's get somebody new who is not in any way tarnished. Thanks.
Denise Sebbing, 2612 Porter, and I just have a couple of things I want to bring. First of all, I heard about the letters as well, and my poor mother-in-law who lives in Ward 1 was appalled that we had sunk to that level. Two, as far as the robocalls, Mr. Mayor, if you want people's opinion, why do you block their emails when they send you emails? And Bill, I have to ask the same question. If you have your emails on the web address and you tell people that you want their opinions, why do you block them? If you really want their opinions, just ask or let people's emails get through to you. And finally, I did ask in the last aldermanic meeting on March 14th, it's in the notes that weren't approved, but I understand this board had approved a sound study, the sound noise that I've been bringing to your attention for almost a decade. And you've approved a sound study. We've said there isn't a sound going on right now. We've asked that you not hold the sound study until the sound starts emanating again. And Bola, we were advised today that a sound study is going to be done before May 16th meeting. It's not going to be a relevant study if the noise isn't going to capacity. So again, I bring to your attention, please don't do the sound study. You're wasting taxpayers' monies until the sound is sounding at the higher level. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm Karen Smith, 8930 Harrison. I was not aware that we block emails at City Hall. Are we blocking mine? You know? All right, thank you. Congratulations on our new board. I think it's refreshing to have some new faces here. I think the members that leaving the board did a wonderful job. I was very disappointed at times, and I'm hopeful that with some of the recent activities that have happened in Brentwood over the last year, I was disappointed in some of the outcomes that happened as a result of that. But I do respect that they did give their time and do think that they were very honorable in serving our city. But I do welcome new faces because I think it's an opportunity. I think sometimes when you've been on a board for a long time, it gets hard to see when there are problems. And so I'm hopeful that the new faces will be a new set of eyes for the city. So going to my real reason for coming up here, at the last meeting I had some questions about a public parking lease agreement in the Drury agreement. And I know, Mayor, you had given me some information via email. And we had a few exchanges, and I appreciate it. But a lot of my questions that I had have not been answered. Again, I am not sure why this agreement is in the Drury contract. None of the other development agreements that the city has had an arrangement like this. The explanations that have been provided by the attorney at Armstrong and Teasdale does not make sense to me. She mentioned that it was in the comprehensive plan. I reviewed the comprehensive plan, and I've never seen any reference to needing public parking in relations to the types of development that we've put in. They talk about locations where the mixed use and the regional use development should be going. They talk about the types of things that should go in there, but there's never been, in any of the documents that I have, a reference to needing public parking. We also, it was also commented that we are using it to alleviate parking at the promenade and at the Brentwood Square. Again, I'm not sure that I understand that either. Those are two commercial developments where we had parking studies done by experts who approved the current parking situation that we have down there. I don't know that the parking makes sense to a non-parking expert because the spaces are horribly small and the turning radiuses are horrible. But they nonetheless were approved by so-called parking experts, and we supposedly had enough spaces. We even reduced the spaces in the promenade to make room for that new development. So I'm not sure, why all of a sudden we need the additional public parking spaces. And I also question why Brentwood would be providing the public parking for a for-profit commercial development. So again, if additional parking is needed down there, I think that agreement should be between Drury and the promenade and square, not between Drury and the city. And another question that I had that hasn't been answered is the parking that is going to be public separate from the parking that's required by Drury. So I understand that based upon the size of a development that we need to have so many spaces. So Drury is required to have so many spaces. But is this public parking going to be over and above that? Because, you know, it seems to me that they're both going to be competing for spaces between the peak time of 5 to 8 p.m. And so will Drury not have access to this public parking during that time? So, and then finally, I have some more here, but in relation to the Drury, you know, I'm also questioning who wrote those agreements, because I'm not sure that I'm getting an answer. So I'm wondering if, like the Board of Aldermen, I think it's unfair for this group, for some of the members over here on this side, because they are new, but I don't know if the Board of Aldermen had an opportunity to review the parking agreement ahead of time, or can provide any explanation beyond what I've gotten from the mayor and from the Armstrong-Teasdale attorney. This may be an example of something where we passed something through the city without appropriate scrutiny and questioning. Somebody placed the parking agreement in the Drury redevelopment agreement, and I think it's pertinent that we understand why. And is there some sort of financial gain that somebody is getting from this, either the city or the developer or someone else? I don't understand why, again, it's in there. Also in the Drury agreement, there is an Exhibit F that references the parking agreement. It's in both the original and the revised agreements. And Bo, I had emailed you. I don't know if you've had a chance, because it was not until late today. But I would
respond back to you and attached it.
Okay, great. Thank you, because I would like to see a copy of that. And my last thought is just to encourage this new board to make sure that you read your documents, start asking the questions, make sure you're understanding what you're approving. I understand you have the Meridian Agreement before you tonight. I think there's a lot that is in that agreement. Unfortunately, as a member of the public, we get the agreements, you know, just we come in this evening. So I haven't had a chance to review them. I don't know. Hopefully you all have. I think it's a challenge to have to review something so thick when when you're a new board member. I understand there's probably timing issues and you feel like it needs to be pushed through quickly. But if it took so many months to develop the agreements, I think it would be nice to show some respect to the board and allow them some time to review it, understand it, and feel comfortable with what they're approving. Thank you.
Close public comment. With respect to the stop sign, I would like to add one other item to that when the board goes back to public safety to discuss this further. There was also a lot of discussion after the Highway 40 project with St. Louis County as well with respect to that stop sign and with York Woods Association. They were adamant that that sign needs to be in place, that they need that for the ability to get in and out of their subdivision from a safety standpoint. We did consider placing other stop signs, either, and I always get at York at the top of the hill, basically, at the main entrance, or at York Hills a little bit further down the street, but determined that this was the best location for the sign. So this is an issue that has been brought up a number of times, or at least a few times within the last 3 years, and I think the residents in that area have let it known that they think it's very important to have that sign there. With respect to the Glenn Jamboretts and the letters, you know, Glenn Jamboretts is not under contract with the City of Brentwood. He has done some consulting for us. I think over the last couple of years, putting our radio advertisements together for our holiday radio campaign. And to my knowledge, I think that is probably all he's done for the City of Brentwood. I said to the reporter today when he called me, I knew nothing about these letters. The first time I heard about them, I was actually out of town. Bola called me and told me she had gotten a call about a letter, didn't even know what it was about. I then called the candidate who was running, asked him. He said he and his wife had received one. He read it to me. I know and I feel very confident that Jim didn't have anything to do with these letters as well. But if there's anything we can do to find out where they came from, we would do it. But it wasn't anything that was initiated by the city. I can assure you of that. With respect to Karen's questions, Karen, I did get your second email with respect to the parking. I tried to explain as best I can. I will try to answer the additional questions you have. I just hadn't had a chance to do that yet. So, any other comments or questions on that? Okay.
Your Honor.
Yes.
As far as emails being blocked, I know that there's a system where you have to reply and send back, be accepted in the future.
No,
but I don't know if that's what she's talking about.
No, and again, it's a difficult situation, but, I will admit that I did block those emails from that specific individual. I think the goal of the city was to create the sound, or do the sound study. Bola, if there's any way we could wait until we get notification from these residents that the sound is there again in order to do it. I don't know what our agreement is with the contractor, but evidently, if there is no noise right now, according to the resident.
The noise is sporadic. There is no way to time it, and the sound study requires that we monitor it for a period of 7 days. The engineers who are conducting the sound study for the city, McClure Engineering, have indicated that for the results from the study to be upheld in court, legally they're bound to track that noise for a period of 7 days. So what I indicated to Mr. Sebbing this afternoon was that we will have a report for the Board of Aldermen to consider in the month of May. We cannot wait for the sound to start because it needs to be tracked for a period of 7 days, and it's been sporadic, so there's no way to time it. Okay. And the purpose of the study was to establish whether the sound that's emitted, that we're hearing, whether it violates our sound ordinance.
Right.
So.
Okay. All right, next item, introduction and reading of bills. If I could have a motion for the first and second reading of bill number 5667.
So moved, Your Honor.
And second? Second. Motion was made by Alderman Lay, second by Alderman Nguyen for the first and second readings only. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. First reading of bill number 5667.
First reading bill number 5667 by title only, an ordinance authorizing a cooperative fire training officer agreement between the cities of Brentwood, Glendale, Maplewood, and Rock Hill.
Thank you. Synopsis, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Bill 5667 is one that would provide for an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Brentwood to execute a cooperative fire training officer agreement, that between the cities of Brentwood, Glendale, Maplewood, and Rock Hill. City administrators and fire chiefs from each of those cities, Maplewood, Brentwood, Rock Hill, and Glendale, have had several conversations in the last 7 months about the benefits and potential structure of a program to share a dedicated training officer among the 4 municipal fire departments. There is $35,000 in the fire department fiscal year 2012 budget for this program. However, because there are 4 municipalities taking part, our cost is less than $31,000. A qualified, highly trained command officer shall be selected from the fire department of one of the participating municipalities to serve as the FTO to perform the services specified under this agreement.
Thank you. Any questions? Alderman Lay.
If I may ask for a few clarifications, sure. Chief Jury, if you're available, we'll work through. I'm on page 5 of 7, and I'm looking at the cooperative costing, just so that we get it right in what we're dealing with. One of these 4 different municipalities picks up the employee, so they pick up the vacation time, the insurance benefits, and all that from that portion of that city.
That's correct.
And that is part of the $31,000, or in this case $10,000 if it's Rock Hill, of their contribution into the program.
It's all included in the $104,453 total.
The second clarification, if I can, is the sentence below the chart, and that is the increase of 4% per year. That basically is going to be a 1% increase from each of the municipalities. It's not 4% from each of the municipalities.
That's correct. It's 1% from each municipality.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Any other questions? I think this is a great program. Just so the public understands, the municipalities will be working together, have a training officer that will work to consistently train all of the firemen within the 4 departments so that they're receiving the same kind of training and coordinate their work together in our mutual aid throughout this area of the county. So this is a great program, I think, for all the cities to make it safer for our firemen and better protection for our residents. So, second reading, please.
Second reading, bill number 5667 by title only, an ordinance authorizing a cooperative fire training officer agreement between the cities of Brentwood, Glendale, Maplewood, and Rock Hill.
Thank you. Motion, please.
Motion, Your Honor, to perfect Bill 5667 into ordinance form, please.
And second. Motion is made by Alderman Lay, second by Alderman Nguyen. Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Saunders?
Yes.
Alderwoman Manister?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
Yes.
Alderman Toohey?
Yes.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Robertson?
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen?
Yes.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item. Sorry.
Ordinance.
Oh, ordinance number. I'm sorry.
That bill is now ordinance number 4342.
Thank you. Counts against the city. Bola, could you do that this evening?
Total bill against the city is $57,047.83, and then there is a pass-through grant of $20,859. This document reflects the change that was requested by Alderman Marshall. We're now including the budget for each one of these items on the form.
I do want to be clear, though, because this could be confusing. For instance, the first item, our city attorney, Frank Albrecht, is not budgeted for $150,000. That is our total legal, right? Is that what you were going to say?
Yes.
Sorry.
What was that?
So,
Frank, I need to go to lunch.
Yeah. Frank got a big raise.
Yeah,
So,
Frank was looking for a new
but
car.
again, so I mean,
Total budget
in
for
those-
legal
right,
services.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So those items will come in.
And excuse me, Your Honor, actually, that recommendation was from Alderman Kramer.
Okay. All right. So just so we understand, Alderman Alderman Leahy.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bola, on the invoice 902074, that's the buy in bulk. Is the $3,200 expense there, is that Brentwood's proportion for the multiple different group, or is that the gross bill on this payment, and that this will be broken out into smaller numbers later?
Which
Which one?
The invoice of the Binky True
Value?
Hardware. It says that we've bought it in bulk for different activities, cooperative purchase between 5 cities. Is the $3,200 our portion of that
That's
bill?
our portion of the
That's
bill.
our portion,
Yes.
okay.
Okay. Alderman Kramer.
Yes, Your Honor. Bola, on the wonderful amount that we get from the seizure funds to help out with the police vehicle, are those funds from 2011, 2012? Do we know that?
Is the chief here? Do you want to speak to that?
2011.
Are they all used up after that?
No, there'll be approximately $44,000 left in the account.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Motion, please.
Motion to approve as submitted, Your Honor.
And second.
Second, Your Honor.
Motion was made by Alderman Kramer, second by Alderman Leahy to accept the accounts against the city. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item, reports of committee and department heads. We will have executive session for the Meridian project following this meeting. Under the mayor's report, trying to think if we had anything. I would like to thank everybody that was able to attend and our firemen and city employees that helped put together the retirement party yesterday for Chief Niemeyer. It was very well attended, and it was a good, fun event for the community, and I appreciate everybody that was able to come and express their thanks to Chief Niemeyer for his 50-plus years of service to the city of Brentwood. So other than that, I don't have anything to report. Public safety, we have not assigned our new chair people yet, so I don't know if there's an additional report. Was there tonight? Okay. Public Works Committee?
No report, Your Honor.
Your Honor, Jim is here to
Jim?
report
Okay.
on Helen Avenue.
I have a brief update on the Helen Avenue sewer project. With MoDOT's permission, Marshut's construction will start on Friday night at 9 o'clock and start working across Manchester Road and plan on being finished Saturday afternoon to Saturday evening sometime with that project, with the pavement and all.
Is that a partial closure?
It will be down to 2 lanes, possibly 1 at certain times, but they do have to have MSD's permission to close that, or MoDOT's permission to close that road. So if there's any threat of rain or anything, they will not let them. And that's the only time period that they will let them close that road down is Friday night and the Saturday. So.
Okay.
And no fires.
And no fires.
Okay. Director of Planning is actually not present this evening. Ways and Means, is there anything to report, Ways and Means? Okay. City Attorney?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you. City Clerk Administrator?
Yes, Your Honor, I have 3 items for your consideration. For the past 2 years, St. Mary Magdalene Parish has made a request to the board for the donation of the Parks and Recreation bandwagon for their annual parish picnic. This donation has been granted in the past. However, when the request came before the Public Works Committee, staff presented costs that have been unrealized because we've been donating the services of the bandwagon and the staff who man this equipment to approximately 5 different entities that have requested it. The total cost is $1,400, and of that $1,400, approximately $7 is the cost of the 2 employees who always have to A, deliver the bandwagon to the site, monitor it, refuel it during the time that it's being used by those different entities. Public Works Committee recommends that we make the donation to the St. Mary Magdalene Parish. However, we ask that they pay the cost of the 2 employees. In the meantime, staff will develop a policy going forward.
Okay. Have they asked St. Mary Magdalene about if they talked to them about paying that fee or not, or do you know?
No.
It just came out of committee. Okay, I was
yeah,
just curious.
waiting.
That's fine. Okay. All right.
So
is there any
we would-
discussion or
yeah.
questions?
I was at the meeting, and I think it's a good idea that we recover our cost. I mean, it's a shame that we didn't do it in the beginning, but now it's come to light that it's best practices that the city doesn't donate time or to another organization, and so, or money, I should say. And so I just make sure that we make it clear to St. Mary Magdalene that it's not punitive in any way, that we're going to do it as a matter of policy to all other organizations. But I think it's a good step moving forward in light of what we've learned.
Good. You want to make a motion?
I move that we allow St. Mary Magdalene to use the bandwagon as long as they cover the actual cost of the bandwagon and the employee that has to monitor it.
Okay. And a second?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Any other questions or comments?
Do we have to attach a date or a specification to that?
No, it's for May 18th and 19th, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Roll call, please. I'm sorry. We have motions made by Alderwoman Saunders and second by Alderman Robertson. Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Saunders.
Yes.
Alderwoman Manister.
Yes.
Alderman Lay. Alderwoman Saunders.
Yes.
Alderwoman Manister.
Yes.
Alderman Leahy.
Abstain.
Alderman.
Yes.
Alderman Kramer.
Yes.
Alderman Robertson.
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen.
Yes.
Alderman Harper.
Yes.
Okay. Next item.
The next item, Brad Barkbo will present this.
You all should have a memo from the Public Works Committee. I'm just going to kind of briefly touch on that. Essentially, what we're going to do is currently over in the ice rink in the community center, we have small screen TVs over there with PowerPoint presentations playing constantly that show different programs and different things that the Parks Department offers. What we'd like to do is contract out with this company out of Minnesota called Reach Digital and kind of expand on that type of program. Essentially what it would be incorporating different programs the city offers, different programs the Parks Department offers, and broadcasting that 24/7 essentially, using possibly live feeds from our Facebook pages, live feeds from the internet like weather and Sports Center and things like that, and just kind of broaden our marketing to our special groups that we have that come over that use the ice rink and that use our fitness rooms. Currently, what we're using is just kind of outdated marketing, to be frank. We use a lot of flyers to schools, a lot of posters within the ice rink and rec center, and a lot of posters inside the businesses of Brentwood. We've also expanded, like I said, to those small screen TVs with PowerPoint presentation. We do use our Facebook page as well to do different marketing. So this is kind of moving us in that 21st century marketing of really broadening our horizons. We feel this would really be beneficial because of the amount of people that come into the rec center and the ice rink to help broaden the city's viewpoint and kind of show different programs such as this sewer lateral program that Jim offers through Public Works and things like that, Brentwood Days, and kind of offer a little bit more and kind of encompass the whole city, not just the Parks Department with what we're currently doing.
And just as a question, so is this something that will be just shown inside the rec center on those TVs, or is this something that the public can
This
view
would be
from
just inside the ice rink and just inside the recreation center. Essentially, there would be a CPU specified to that that would be receiving a signal via the server up in Minnesota.
Okay.
And essentially, that would just be broadcasted to those 2D TVs.
Okay. And is this, just out of curiosity, is this what, like, Richmond Heights uses in?
Yes, actually, the cities of Olivet, Richmond Heights, Clayton actually just got theirs up and running recently, and there's a few other municipalities in this area that are going to go to this in July when their budget years roll around.
Maryland Heights.
Maryland Heights, yes.
Okay. Any question, Alderman Nguyen?
I don't think you mentioned the size of the TV.
Oh, yes. In the ice rink, we're going to use a 50-inch TV, and up in the rec center, I'm sorry, will be a 42-inch TV. And both of those will be located near the front desk area of both areas.
And we are purchasing the TVs?
Correct. We are purchasing all the hardware, and then there's a subscription each month of $69.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh,
And
Alderman
also
Saunders?
just at the meeting too, if you'd mentioned the ease of transferring or
Oh,
using
absolutely.
this,
Yeah, absolutely. These, if anything was to be done with the recreation center or the ice rink in a remodeling phase, both TVs would be transferable. The only thing that would obviously not be would be the cables hooked up, and we could just make sure that that's budgeted in for the future.
Good.
And then one other thing that I thought of after that meeting
Mm-hmm.
was just, and in the future, but to consider a TV in the library, because I think that's a good audience to
Yes,
attract.
originally, all departments were brought in on this when it was brought to our attention, I think back in February sometime. And the original thought was to put more departments in, but then it was scaled down to be just the Parks Department and kind of be a guinea pig to kind of see what kind of feedback we got and to see how it would actually work and that type of thing. But going
just
forward, I
meant-
think the idea was to move it to possible more departments if need be, or if there was a seen increase in traffic or something like that.
My focus there at first, but I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
good idea, is just even advertising what's going on in the rec center in the library, not necessarily that the library would be inputting advice, but
Okay.
just that you would get,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think, participants from there.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes, Your Honor. I wasn't able to be at the Public Works Committee meeting, and we don't have a report to take a look at. Could you outline the cost and the line item that we're pulling this from?
Well, if we were to purchase all the hard equipment from Reach Company, which I don't know if we would, we'd obviously do a lot of research to bring down the cost. But we're looking at like $3,600 for the initial setup, and then, like I said, $69 a month after that. There is plenty of room in our park expense budget that runs our programs, and since it's primarily focusing on all our recreation programs, we figured that'd be an appropriate place to take the monies from.
And that's an upfront fee that we would?
Yes, that's a one-time setup cost for the TVs, the hardware to run it all.
Most of it's for the hardware.
Okay.
Yes, and obviously we would shop that around and get the best price possible for the city.
Okay.
Thank
Any
you,
other
Your Honor.
questions? Thank you.
Does he need a motion to approve such?
We do, yes.
So moved, Your Honor.
And second?
Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Lay, second by Alderman Nguyen. Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Saunders.
Yes.
Alderwoman Manister.
Yes.
Alderman Leahy.
Yes.
Alderman Tui.
Yes.
Alderman Kramer.
Yes.
Alderman Robertson.
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen.
Yes.
Alderman Harper.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item?
The last item is a new program that has been initiated by the Parks and Recreation Department. It's called Friends of the Parks Campaign for 2012. Tracy Whitaker developed a PowerPoint presentation that she presented to the Public Works Committee, and at your place we've made copies for you. The goal is to kick this off at Brentwood Days. We would also put this PowerPoint presentation on Brentwood TV so that our residents would know about it. The goal is to educate our residents about the advantage, the benefits of participating in our parks and recreation programs, and to engage our business partners, increase participation in our programs, promote health and wellness, foster human development, protect natural and cultural resources, and a host of other advantageous things that would be beneficial to all of us. The initial expense will be absorbed in their current budget. They will go after sponsorship to underwrite the cost. The expected total cost for this year is $1,400. In 2013, it will be $2,000. And Friends of the Parks will receive a window decal, a monthly email to update them on Did You Know facts, different things about our parks and recreation, different parks, different programs. And ultimately, there will be a barbecue for Friends of the Parks. And I believe the Public Works Committee approved this new program.
Okay. Any questions? Alderman Kramer.
Your Honor, just a comment. I have seen the material, have reviewed it, and wanted to compliment certainly our staff, but the parks staff. This caliber of initiative and level of presentation for our residents is light years above what we've done in the past, and just continues to exceed our expectations on a regular basis. A lot of work went into these initiatives, including this particular one, which I'm fascinated by, and I look forward to it. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Tracy Whitaker deserves a lot of credit, and the team that worked with her.
Motion to approve this program, Your Honor.
And second?
Second, Your Honor.
Motion is made by Alderman Leahy, second by Alderman Robertson. Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Saunders.
Yes.
Alderwoman Manister.
Yes.
Alderman Leahy.
Yes.
Alderman Toohey.
Yes.
Alderman Kramer.
Yes.
Alderman Robertson.
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen.
Yes.
Alderman Harper.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item, Excise Commissioner. There's nothing to report this evening. Although, well, that's fine. I was going to talk about the fire, but it's fine. Library.
No report.
No report. Thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes.
We could stop there for a moment.
Sure.
Have the repairs been completed on the library? Is that all?
Yeah,
Everything's
it's all
all
done.
done and set to go? Okay.
Books are going in and out.
Under the Municipal League, two things actually, kind of important. The two petitions that they were starting to collect signatures on for the creation of the fair tax, which was the elimination of our state income tax, and then to go to a statewide sales tax. Both of those petitions were thrown out, I believe, yesterday or maybe Friday. The email came out today by a judge in outstate Missouri. So those two initiatives have come to a standstill, which is good. They only have, I think, 3 weeks left to come up with new language and then to collect the 100,000 signatures that they would need to get that on the November ballot. So at least for the time being, that issue is dead, which is good. The other thing that people may not be aware of is that the Missouri Supreme Court, a complaint that was filed with them, actually overturned what has been the common practice within municipalities in the state of Missouri, collecting the sales tax on automobiles for local sales tax on automobiles. Yep. For us, that's about 3%, well, 2.5% for the city of Brentwood. What that means is that now any resident who buys a car right now, currently under the normal practice, the 3% would come to the city of Brentwood. Depending if it's a new car or not, there are some adjustments in the percentage amount. But right now, because of the Supreme Court, we don't get that any longer. The only municipalities that are able to collect it, and this actually goes for St. Louis County sales tax as well. If they had a use tax, like the state does, the state still gets to collect the sales tax because they have a use tax. Our voters voted down a use tax, I think, back in the late 90s. But there are about 23 municipalities in St. Louis County that have the use tax. They'll still be able to collect the sales tax. But right now, currently, and going forward, municipalities, and Brentwood is one of them, we will not be able any longer to collect the sales tax. There is an initiative at the state to create a new bill that would correct that problem, but just so you're aware of it, I don't think it's a huge number for us, but you know, it is something that again was taken away from us by the state. So,
well,
by
this
the
was
Court.
taken away by the state Supreme Court.
Right,
The
right.
legislatures didn't hurt us this time.
Right. So, and actually, let me clarify that. Actually, I stated it wrong. These are cars that are being bought out of state.
Yes.
So if anybody bought a car in Illinois, they would not pay that tax. That's the distinction. I'm sorry, not local purchasing of cars. But what that does is it would certainly encourage somebody, again, if you can save 2.5% on the price of your car, if you're buying a new car, expensive car, that may be worthwhile to go across the river instead of paying your local sales tax. So anyway, okay.
Now, the legislation that they're pushing, Your Honor, probably will not complete by the May deadline.
Oh, no, it will not.
So
No.
this will be a year before we get something in place.
At least, right. Yep. Anything, communications, not present. Historical Society? No report. Thank you. Any unfinished business? Any new business?
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Ward 3 meeting for the month of April is canceled the last Tuesday of the month. I will be out of town for radiation safety training, so I can't be in two places at one time.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, next item, public comment. If anybody else would like to address the board, please come forward and give us your name and address.
Sebbing, 2612 Porter, and I would submit that, again, going back to the sound test, if the intent is really to measure the sound at the highest level, why would you do a sound study when the sound isn't going at the highest level? Otherwise, you're just wasting taxpayers' money. And I would ask that common sense prevail, and maybe we go back to the people that are being contracted and ask them to be flexible to do the study when the sound study is going at the highest level, because when the sound does go on, it lasts for more than 7 days at a time. Thank you.
Okay. We will look at that.
Karen Smith, 8930 Harrison. So are you not looking at the Meridian agreement tonight?
We are. We are going into executive session to discuss it first, and then if the board decided, we will be coming back into open session, and we would have the readings if we decide to move forward with that bill.
Okay. And why is it going into executive session if it's...
Because I think there's a lot of questions from some of the board members.
The questions are not executive session, isn't it?
It is
lawsuit,
a legal matter, yes.
But the lawsuit's been settled for Meridian.
Right.
So how can that go? So it's not a lawsuit. I mean,
Well,
the lawsuit's settled.
We want to make sure of that, right?
All right. So you're...
Your Honor, if I may.
In the lawsuit, we did have a stipulation in the settlement that we would not discuss the agreement in public session.
So are we going to know, and, again, I'm not, let's see here, where are my notes? I don't know if I have them with me. Are we, the citizens, going to know if we're going to be giving up like the 57.65% of the bottom half of the EATs, the $3.6 million in additional pledge revenue, and $150K to pay down principal? Is that all outlined in these documents? Like
Actually,
what
I
it
think
is?
we have a memo that you can have that outlines those kinds of
Okay.
things.
All right.
And I'll answer a couple of those after you're done.
Okay, and then do these documents also explain like the flow, like who's going to get paid first, and outline the flow of the funds, like?
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. Then I'll just take my time and read the document.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? If I could have a motion to go in, and again, just for clarification so the public does understand, we are going to go into executive session. If the board decides to move forward with this bill, we will be coming back. Well, we're coming back to open session anyway to close the meeting. But we could have the first and second reading for this bill after discussion in executive session. So if I get a motion to go in executive session.
So moved. Second, Your Honor.
Our motion was made by Alderman Robertson, second by Alderman Lay to go into executive session. We will meet back in the finance office. Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Saunders.
Yes.
Alderwoman Manister.
Yes.
Alderman Leahy.
Yes.
Alderman Toohey.
Yes.
Alderman Kramer.
Yes.
Alderman Robertson.
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen.
Yes.
Alderman Harper.
Yes.
Okay, thank
You
you.
want us in the finance office?
finance office.
Okay, I was going to say. Do I have time to go get another cookie?
No.
Get it? Yes. Chew it? No.
I'd like to gavel back in our regular meeting. It is now 7:10 I'm sorry, 9:45. We're reconvening back here. And we had a motion to go back into regular session. And if I could have a motion for the first and second reading of bill number 5666.
So moved, Your Honor.
And second?
Second.
So first and second reading only. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. The first was made by Alderman Robertson, second by Alderman Harper, sorry. First reading of bill number 5666, please.
First reading bill number 5666 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of variable rate demand tax increment refunding revenue bonds, Series 2012A, 8300 Eagle Road Project Phase 1, and variable rate demand tax increment refunding revenue bonds, Series 2012B, 8300 Eagle Road Project Phase 2 of the City of Brentwood, Missouri, for the purpose of refunding certain prior obligations and paying costs of issuance of the bonds, and authorizing the issuance of taxable subordinate tax increment revenue notes, Series 2012C, 8300 Eagle Road Project Phase 2, for the purpose of reimbursing the developer for previously incurred redevelopment project costs and paying the costs of issuance of the notes, authorizing the execution of an Eighth Amendment and restatement of redevelopment agreement and other documents, and authorizing certain other actions in connection with the execution and delivery of the bonds and the notes.
Okay. Synopsis, please.
Your Honor, you're not going to believe this, but the synopsis is exactly what he just read.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I wish I could give a better explanation than what he just said.
Any other questions?
No.
Second reading, please.
Second reading bill number 5666 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of variable rate demand tax increment refunding revenue bonds, Series 2012A, 8300 Eagle Road Project Phase 1, and variable rate demand tax increment refunding revenue bond, Series 2012B, 8300 Eagle Road Project Phase 2 of the City of Brentwood, Missouri, for the purpose of refunding certain prior obligations and paying costs of issuance of the bonds, and authorizing the issuance of taxable subordinate tax increment revenue notes, Series 2012C, 8300 Eagle Road Project Phase 2, for the purpose of reimbursing the developer for previously incurred redevelopment project costs and paying the costs of issuance of the notes, authorizing the execution of an Eighth Amendment to and restatement of the redevelopment agreement and other documents, and authorizing certain other actions in connection with the execution and delivery of the bonds and the notes.
Any questions? Motion, please.
Your Honor, I move for adoption, sorry.
Go ahead.
And second?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Motion is made by Alderman Robertson, second by Alderman Kramer, to perfect bill number 5666 into ordinance form. Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Saunders.
Yes.
Alderwoman Manister.
Yes.
Alderman Leahy.
No.
Alderman Toohey.
Yes.
Alderman Kramer.
Yes.
Alderman Robertson.
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen.
Yes.
Alderman Harper.
Yes.
Ordinance?
The ordinance ordinance number, I'm sorry, is now ordinance 4343.
Thank you. Actually, I have one other item for consideration of the board real quick before we leave. Something that came to my mind tonight. I'm a little uncomfortable during our meetings when we have photographers come up and stand behind us. Are we in agreement that we should probably stop that practice? Yep. Is that okay with everybody?
With that, Your Honor.
I think we need to post that, but again, you know, we know who the gentleman was today. I mean, we know him, but it could be anybody in here, and we don't pose him to be a photographer. So I just had a concern with that. So
Thank
I
you,
think we
Your
need
Honor.
to post that. Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved, Your Honor.
And second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned. Second was Alderman Nguyen.